Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into 5 fun weapons to try out with your ranger or bastion. Now, I know we've all been dreaming of a proper gunner class, but until that day comes, I've got a homemade version of that dream for you. Keep in mind, these weapons are picked based on how fun they are to use. They might not be the strongest, so don't go jumping into Valkyrie mode expecting to steamroll your enemies with them. These are for when you want to mix things up and try something different. All right, let's get started. First up, we have the Slimy Soaker, a legendary weapon that can be crafted once you've obtained the Slime King's boss card and brought it to the craftsman. Now, while I personally love pairing this weapon with Shinobi because it makes it feel like you're commanding an army, it's just as much fun to use with Ranger or Bastion. The weapon unleashes a slimy barrage that's extremely satisfying, especially when you're tearing through waves of enemies. It's pure chaos, but in the best way possible. That said, this is definitely more of a fun weapon than a serious one. You probably don't want to bring it into high-stakes runs, but for casual farming or dungeon crawling, it's a blast. Next on the list, we've got a lesser-known weapon, the Xenotype L Gun. Introduced in Season 2, you can get this weapon by defeating the UFO boss and using its card to craft it. This was actually my first time using the Laser Gun with the Ranger, and let me tell you, it feels pretty sweet to rock a dual pistol setup instead of the usual crossbow or great sword. Like the Slimy Soaker, this weapon is more about fun than raw power, so don't expect to dominate in Valkyrie mode. But for experimenting with new builds, it's definitely worth a try. Before we continue, if you're enjoying the content and want to support the channel, feel free to use my creator code in the soulknight Prequel shop. Just type it in exactly as shown on screen, hit confirm, and you'll be helping me out. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the weapons. Our third weapon is the C6H806 Ordinance. You might remember this one from the game's trailer, where the Ranger is shown wielding it. And yes, it's just as fun to use as it looks. You could almost say it was made for the Ranger class. Unfortunately, it's not the strongest weapon, so don't expect to dish out massive damage with it. But the unique design and mechanics make it a great option if you're just looking to have a good time. Like most weapons on this list, you can craft it by collecting the appropriate boss card. Next up is the Buccaneer Captain's Naval Cannon. This weapon is actually one I'd recommend for serious Valkyrie mode runs, especially if you're using the Shuriken build. The regular attack is cool enough, but it's the charged attack that really steals the show. You'll be firing homing missile sharks that explode on impact. How awesome is that? Personally, I find this weapon incredibly fun to use with Ranger, and it's often one of my go-to choices when I want a mix of power and entertainment. Finally, we've got what I consider the best and strongest weapon for both Ranger and Bastion, the Soul Calibur. If you've played the game for a while, this probably comes as no surprise. The Soul Calibur is an absolute powerhouse, with insane attack power that makes it a perfect fit for both classes. The only downside, you can't craft this one. You'll need to farm it by defeating the Skeleton King multiple times. But trust me, the grind is worth it. Once you've got this in your hands, you'll feel unstoppable. And that's it for today's video. These are just a few of the fun weapons you can try out with Ranger or Bastion. Again, they might not be meta-defining, but if you're looking to switch things up and have a little fun, these weapons are a great place to start. Let me know in the comments if you've tried any of these, or if you have your own recommendations for fun weapons that should have made the list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Soulknight Prequel content. Until next time.